Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Very excited to have a very large group of people here today. And we're going to be talking a little bit today about how we're going to compete in today's world. There's been so many changes that have been happening in data and technology. Category Management Association has launched a new CatMan 2.0 platform. And there's a lot of considerations that we need to reflect in the work that we do and in the decisions that we make as industry leaders and executives. So today I really want to spend some time talking about some of the areas of opportunity for you as an individual who may be doing category management work at your desk, and also to those of you who are some of the leaders in your organization that are making some of the decisions on the forward direction that you're going to be taking category management. So very excited to have you all here today. Before I get started in today's session, I do want to walk you through some of the controls in GoTo training just so you know how to get yourself around in here. You can use the bright orange box that has an arrow pointing to the right to minimize and maximize your control panel so you can make the settings smaller. You can also choose your audio option between telephone and mic and speakers. And we'll also be using the chat box. If you have any questions that you'd like us to address, if you're having technical issues, if there's anything you want to have covered, we have a full CMKG team behind in the background and answer your questions for you. I also do try to multitask when I'm running the webinar, and we'll try to address questions if I see ones that are important ones that I happen to be glancing at as I'm going through and doing this. So the other thing is that there is a materials section, and we do have some materials that I'll be referring to later on in the session today. So before we get started, I do want to introduce myself and my team to you. I'm Sue Nicholls. I'm the president and owner of Category Management Knowledge Group and a lover of category management. I've been doing it for a very long time and thrilled to continue to work with such a great network and industry. And I also have some of my other teammates are with me. We have Ty Snaith, who's our Director of Client Services, as well as Johanka Gonzalez-McPhee, who's our Implementation Manager, who are in the background, and they are also big supporters of our students as they go through our training. So Category Management Knowledge Group, in case you don't know, we're a training company that is dedicated to category management, and that's about all I'm going to be talking about for category management, about CMKG right now, because really what I want to be talking about is some of the changes that our industry has experienced and continues to experience. And there's actually an influx of change, and it's not something that's just happened overnight. It's happened over the course of the last 25 years, and some of those changes are things like today's shopper, who's more diverse both demographically and attitudinally. They're a lot smarter and knowledgeable about what it is that they want and what they're looking for. They're also empowered by a lot more information than they've had in the past, and that those digital devices are certainly changing how they are making decisions and choices across the omni-channel versus it being just in brick and mortar stores. There's also a huge amount of data. We have infinitely more data than we've ever had before, and it continues to expand. It seems like just about every day there's a new data source. It's also become much more granular than in the past and allows us to get a lot deeper views of data than we've ever been able to before. Then we have changing technology. Software and technology have moved to much more sophisticated engines, allowing multivariate analysis and integrated data sources. Things that we used to dream about doing are now available at the push of a button, including even developing and updating standard reviews and presentations. But that certainly doesn't replace the need for a brain behind pushing that button. And retail marketing is changing. The retail marketing is changing, and it really means that you need to be connecting with that omni-channel shopper and understanding their much more complex path to purchase. E-commerce is also playing havoc on retailers as shoppers continue to purchase more and more from the internet. I know me personally, for Christmas shopping this year, I've been spending a lot of money on the internet. These plus other changes have really resulted in a lot of changes in category management. Once again, it's not something that just instantly happened overnight, and it's not something that just because the CMA wrote a white paper on CatMan 2.0 that it just all of a sudden happened. You know, retailers, manufacturers, and solution providers, they know they should be collaborating. We've been talking about it for years, but there's a struggle to get that collaboration. And there's this need to create an internal alignment before you start externally collaborating with your retailer, manufacturing, and or solution providers. You're forgetting the shopper and some of the work that's done in category management, with a lot of it being too tactical and not considering the category, retailer, and shopper. And shopper insights and marketing have been kept in a bubble within many organizations, never really making its way as a strategic opportunity to the business, but sometimes more of a promotional event instead of it being something that's something that's got longevity and strategy behind it. And many organizations are drowning in data, but lacking in processes, and so they're not really sure. They know they need that data source and they need that technology, but then they don't have the processes and best-in-class approaches to really allow them to put that into the whole way that they do category management to increase focus on the shopper. So in case you don't know, CatMan 2.0 is a white paper that has been developed by the Category Management Association. They published a 325-page white paper on driving growth in a shopper-centric world, which proposes the conceptual framework for the really important changes that are facing the industry. And so what I want to do today is talk about what some of the changes are that kind of reflect the CatMan 2.0 recommendations, and then I want to share with you a new training platform that we're introducing in 2017 to really reflect a lot of these changes to help to advance your category management to the next level, and we're really calling it the master's approach to training. So it's beyond the advanced level and really moving into much more sophisticated category management. So the first thing that's changed according to CatMan 2.0 is the process for category management. And yes, I say process because I am Canadian, and so for those of you who are giggling right now, I do a lot of work with our counterparts in the US, and every time I say process I get a chuckle or two. But there's a few things that have changed with the standard 8-step process. It's going to stay familiar to you, but for one thing, there's a new step at the beginning. It's a pre-step on internal alignment. And this is something that I personally have been talking about for several years, this need to get internal collaboration before you can possibly even try to get external collaboration with your retailer or manufacturer and or solution provider partners. So you can't just have a category management team doing category management. It has to be a strategic approach to the business that's adopted by the organization. Next, in step 4, which is the category assessment, there's an addition of the why the shopper is buying via shopper insights, and also the inclusion of shopper marketing into the category tactics steps. These are two really big changes in the category management approach, but this is where we clarify this relationship by defining shopper marketing as a tactic that's a component of the overall category plan. So this is, like I said, this is a really important one. I'm going to be talking about it in a little bit more detail as we go through this, because shopper really needs to be incorporated into every single step of the category management process, and it's something that for a lot of organizations is definitely missing. And then finally, the fourth opportunity in the category management process is adding in a more robust deployment planning step. It's an area that you know, we complete our planograms, we get them approved, they are supposed to be executed in the stores, and then we kind of carry on to the next project. And there's a lot more detail required associated with that deployment step so that there's compliance at store level, and that these amazing category plans that are developed all the way to the planograms that are executed in the stores, if it's not implemented, then it's obviously not going to be a success. So one of the things that you need to consider is, what do you need to know about the changes to the process? I've got a list of considerations here for you. You might want to know the educational pieces like how the process has changed and how it's anticipated that this is going to affect manufacturers and retailers and even solution providers. But some of you may require more strategic considerations. If you're a leader or somebody who is an influencer within your organization, how are you going to get some of these changes reflected in your organization, and what's the best way to approach this? The next change in the category management approach is in the foundations. So this is talking about the category definition, what items belong in it, how to segment the items to best satisfy shopper needs through the decision trees, assignment of category roles, as well as strategies. And retailers, while they own the authority to approve new definitions and segmentations, manufacturers have an opportunity to really find the next big ideas for building category businesses, starting with different definitions and segmentation. Some retailers have actually gotten pretty creative with different types of category definitions. What happens with category definitions and segmentations, it really does start with the category decision tree, which reflects a hierarchy of shopper needs for the category. And it's really how shoppers organize the category in their minds as they approach their buying decisions. Category decision trees are an interesting one, and it's, first of all, they used to be called consumer decision trees with a CDT acronym. Then they started getting changed to a shopper decision tree, but now in the CatMan 2.0 they're actually referred to as category decision trees. So the good thing is that the acronym doesn't change. It's still a CDT. But traditionally decision trees have been developed using behavioral data based on what shoppers do or by analyzing key data sources using different mathematical techniques. And so one of the opportunities with those decision trees is there's a lot of different approaches. I was actually at the CMA conference in September, and I was going around to some of the different solution providers asking, A, do you sell consumer decision trees, and B, how do you develop them? There are so many different types of category decision trees. I actually didn't realize that you can buy a decision tree anywhere from between $20,000 and $500,000 and anywhere in between. And so one of the things is like, how do you make the decision on what decision trees to even invest in? And even more important than that is how do you use them to kind of bake them into these category management foundations, the definitions and the segmentations and roles and strategies, because those foundations are so critical to the success of the category. So one of the things that I do want to point out is that for many organizations and a lot of students that I work with and clients, there's a tendency to forget about some of these strategic foundations when developing category reviews, business reviews, and tactical analysis. It's important to have well-defined category foundations to provide the rules, guidelines, and strategies for the category to really set it up for success. And it's not just retailers who should be doing this. Manufacturers should have some best-in-class approaches to some of these foundations so that they can really help to create some structure behind it when they're working with retailers based on some of the great shopper insights that they have. So once again, I've also put together some of the considerations that you need to think about that relate to things that could change in the category management foundations. So once again, when you look at these set of questions, the level of depth in them and how much you can influence them is really going to vary based on your roles and responsibilities. So for some of you, it might be, geez, I really need to know those things. And for some of you, it might be, wow, I'm leading my team or my organization, or I have decision-making power in some of these areas. I need to, start thinking forward about some of these decisions that I have to make so that I'm making some right decisions and assumptions and priorities for my organization. The next part of category management is the category assessment, or what I always call the fun stuff. I love analyzing data, and it tends to be the area that as category practitioners, we're usually the best at this part. There's obviously many advanced approaches that need to be reflected in any types of category analysis, whether it's internal or external work. So that all of the new data sources and tools and analytics and data integration, what does that look like? You know, you hear about these things, you may have seen one or two, but what are some of the outcomes of it, and what are some of the examples that you can see of those things? Advanced analytics. We hear a lot about modeling and forecasting and predictive analytics, but how many of us are actually even understand what that looks like, or what some examples might be of simple ways that we can start to incorporate some of these practices into the work that we do? Another important part of this category assessment that I mentioned before was the integration of shopper insights into the category assessment, this why they buy piece. How do we do this? What do we do with that information, and how do we incorporate it into those category reviews and business reviews and analytics that we do to make sure that we're including that piece into it? This is brand new stuff. And also advanced scorecarding. So how do we integrate, you know, scorecards that include that and reflect that shopper who is so important in category management? One of the things I really challenge individuals and teams and even organizations to do is look at some of your most recent category assessments, business reviews, innovation presentations, sales presentations, and see if you can find the shopper in it, and how deep you go into reflecting on that shopper. Because one of the things that I really find is that a lot of organizations and individuals really struggle with, they kind of have a linear approach to analyzing the shopper, and then they'll go and do a linear approach to analyzing, you know, the category result, and then a linear approach to their assortment analysis and those kind of things. How do we integrate this all together? Because that's really the way that we need to be approaching our categories and analyzing them. So how a really big opportunity is integrating that shopper into everything that we do. So once again, different considerations and questions that should tie in with more advanced category assessments, analytics, and scorecards. And so when you take a look at these ones, which ones most resonate with you and the role that you do? Which ones can you influence? Which ones do you think that, geez, you know, if I knew these things a bit better, then I might be able to be making better decisions and recommendations and doing more robust analytics at my desk? The next piece of category management is the tactics, and the tactics obviously drive action in the category, and the biggest change here is the addition of that fifth shopper marketing. How do we analyze the success of shopper marketing alongside the other tactics that we're already spending a lot of time analyzing? And also for each of the other tactics, there's an incredible granularity of data and different softwares for each, in some cases for each of the different tactics, there's a different software program that allows analysis at a finite level. You can't possibly stay abreast of everything that's going on, and especially with all of these different considerations. So for most of us, it's really important that we understand a lot of these different components that tie in with the tactics, because this is where we spend a lot of time as category management practitioners. And once again, there's a lot of different considerations in order for us to make better decisions and recommendations for our categories and the approach that we use going forward. The next part of the changes in category management relate to org structure, internal alignment, and return on investment in category management. So what, you know, how do we benefit? What is the return on investment for all of the investment that we make into category management, including the data, the resources, the technology? According to CatMan 2.0, roles that are interdependent should be in the same organization. Shopper insights, shopper marketing, and category management are interdependent in creating the necessary outputs for the ultimate client, who's the retailer, via their category platform. So this is a really big deal, this integrating shopper insights and shopper marketing into the category management department. But when you think about it, it really makes sense, because it's the retailer shopper, not the brand shopper, not the marketing team shopper, and that's why having a category and shopper understanding outside of category management is necessary. And a way to create an aligned approach internally is by really starting to teach the organization to start thinking about category and about shopper. Secondly is this internal alignment piece on category management. Like I mentioned before, if you know me at all, if you read my blogs, I have been talking about needing to have internal alignment. It can't just be the category management doing category management work. I was working with a client yesterday, and were talking about the fact that their category management team is actually not allowed on sales calls, but their sales team is not trained on presenting data. They're not fact-based. They don't know fact-based presentation skills, but they're expected to take the work that a category management person has done and go present it to their customer. How is that possibly going to work very well unless you start to create this aligned approach by training up your sales organization to be able to be doing fact-based presentations and to be able to logically talk about and answer questions about the data, or they're probably going to skip through the slides that may have some of the most compelling information in it because they don't understand it and they can't explain it, and so they're probably even scared of it. Finally, there's this need to determine how to measure return on investment from doing category management work. So there's some pretty big changes being recommended here, especially as it relates to shopper insights and marketing moving moving under the sales umbrella and into category management. For a lot of organizations, they do have it on their marketing teams. And also, how can you move to internal alignment? How far away are you from that right now? Because it's not something that can happen quickly. You can't just decide, okay, we're going to move to, a completely fact-based organization that, within the next year. It's not it has to be something that evolves, and you have to have something beyond a one-year plan. It has to be a new way, a new approach that's adopted into the culture of your organization. So once again, here's some of the considerations that tie in with some of these changes that are made internally. Obviously, there's some interest on getting educated on some of these very big and strategic structural pieces that are changing. You're going to see it being reflected in retailers and manufacturers. But as a leader or influencer, you've also got some decisions to make as it relates to the changes required to get there. There's a lot of big pieces that are incorporated into this, this information. And then the last part of the change to the category management changes, but not the least important, it usually ends up, because it is the last step in the category management process, it relates to the deployment and supply chain, which for many of us tends to get forgotten. The planograms get approved and you move on to the next project. But successful deployment and compliance are critical and require improvements for efficient and effective ways to execute at the store shelf. Supply chain is an area that really has to be better understood and considered by CatMan practitioners. I actually had a discussion with someone on the phone a few weeks ago. It was a student of ours who was very frustrated because he didn't believe that our course on retail economics and the product supply chain was something that was important for his work, and he didn't understand why he had to actually pass a test on this, and that he just didn't understand why this had anything to do with the work that he did. And that's so unfortunate, because it is so critical to understand these different components about supply chain. My background is Procter & Gamble, and I was there for almost 20 years. And when I got out and started my own company, I realized very quickly that I actually didn't understand retail nearly as much as I could or I needed to if I really wanted to be successful in this business. And one of the biggest areas is understanding supply chain and understanding things like changes like online sales, store-level assortments, and regional SKUs, and the significant impact that these kind of things have on the supply chain that need to be understood. And this ties in with a bigger opportunity to connect between category management and the supply chain. So once again, here's some of the considerations that you should understand and or may have influence on as it relates to deployment and supply chain for really improved understanding and focus for your team and organization. So I've walked you through a lot of changes. And these have resulted in a really broad set of considerations that I've walked you through with all of those different questions that need to be considered. And it can be pretty overwhelming when you start thinking about, wow, there's so many things changing, but there's really not a lot of places that I can go to really figure out how do I start making better and more advanced decisions in my approaches. And so that's really where we saw an opportunity to develop a whole new platform for training that we're calling CatMan Masters Training. Using this framework and a deep long-term experience and expertise in category management, we're really, really excited about this new training program that we've developed for both practitioners in the field and also for the leaders who are going to forge the path really through this uncharted charted territory in category management. It's an exciting place to be, but it's a little bit scary. So one of the things that we acknowledge is that the areas of interest in these different topics really varies by individual, role, and by organization. And this is based on things like the size of your company, the level of experience in your company, how long you've had category management, the number of resources that you have available, the data and technologies you purchase, the level of sophistication that you're doing in category management, and also what you're responsible for. Also, for folks who do advanced category management work or are responsible for understanding it for a more strategic perspective in their work, there's an educational piece that's required to answer what you need to know and also to give you some perspective on ways that you can make changes to things at your desk. And then there's also the perspective for executives, leaders, and influencers. You'll not only need to be educated on these changes and really understand what's going on, but you have the task of making decisions for your team and organization on what your priorities are and how you're going to move forward with these priorities and based on your organization and the uniqueness of your organization. So to meet these two different perspectives, we've developed two different tracks of training. One of them is for advanced practitioners in category management, and we're calling this our master's training courses and series. And then we have one for CatMan executives and influencers, and that's our master's training program. So I'm going to spend a few minutes and explain to you what these two different programs look like and kind of how this whole thing is going to work, because it's very different than some of the more traditional training that we've done. So I'll first of all talk about our master's course. The master's courses is a 12-month series of live or recorded webinars that reflect all of the major changes to category management based on what I've just covered in the last few minutes here. It will help you and your team to stay relevant, meet the advanced needs of your retail customers, and stay engaged in what's changing in the industry. We're going to be providing you with accurate information about ways to move to advanced more category management that will impact your day-to-day role using an updated advanced category management process that's been defined by CatMan 2.0. The target audience for this program is category management practitioners, analysts, sales, marketing, and other roles who want to move to more advanced knowledge based on specific topics or in all of the topics that we're going to be covering over the year, and I'll be covering that in just a minute. The really important thing to note here is that this is not for the faint of heart. If you don't have a lot of experience in category management, we're even suggesting it at the intermediate to advanced level, or if you are certified in category management at the CPCM or category management or strategic advisor levels of certification. You're going to benefit the most from this training because we will be going through it with a level of assumption that you know a lot of the foundations of category management, and we won't be explaining them in them. So if you don't have really strong skills in category management already, this may be too advanced for you. One of the things that we're going to be doing in the different webinars is we're going to be educating you on different topic areas so that you have an understanding of them. We'll give you practical applications and considerations, and we're really going to help to try to help you determine how you may be able to apply some of these new concepts based on what you're responsible for in your role. You'll also be able to speak very knowledgeably with your peers, managers, and customers at this more advanced levels about all of the different changes and things that are happening within category management. So this is our webinar plan that you see in the white box here for 2017. The dates of the webinars are going to be released in early January. We'll have the whole schedule set up. And when you purchase the webinar, you'll have the choice of attending the live webinar, where we're obviously going to have more interactivity. And we'll also be giving you access to the recording on our learning management system for the duration of the program. And you can either buy one webinar at a time, or it's much more cost effective you just buy the whole series. And then each month we're going to add the new topic in your profile if you buy the series. And you can see that the topics that we're incorporating over the course of the year really tie in with much of what I talked about as changes in category management. Here's a few more details. We're going to provide you also with the webinar with a download with a summary of the webinar that, for you to use and refer to. And it's also going to include some suggested action items or key considerations for each topic. We always incorporate workshops into our training, and this will be no different. And we're really going to be trying to make these as useful and relevant in a 60-minute time period as possible. In our learning management system, we're also going to be adding in an assessment or a test on the topic of 10 questions, and once you successfully pass the test, you're going to be able to access a certificate for the course. And then if you complete all 12 of the courses, you're going to get a CatMan series, CatMan Master's Series certificate. The cost of the program is $599 US per person. We tried to make it very cost effective. We don't want it to be that cost is a factor for people to not be able to participate. And each webinar is going to be $69. If you purchase online before December 13th, which is not very long away, you've got 6 days, then we will give you a 30% discount, which will net you to around $420. For 12 courses, which is a pretty reasonable price, and something that's going to give you that continuous learning to be able to access ongoing throughout the year and know that you're going to continue to evolve and develop your skills. The next one is the Master's program. This is a completely different learning platform than even where our existing training resides for our certification training. It's a unique social learning platform that's targeted to executives and influencers in your organization. And this program includes the webinar recordings and testing like in the Master's series, but it's extended to include anonymous discussion groups with other industry leaders and peers, case studies, surveys, and assignments in each topic area, and really an opportunity for you to get peer feedback from other leaders in the industry, but everybody is anonymous. And so it's a really great way for you to be able to come into here and learn, try to understand where your priorities are, ask questions, and really get engaged in some pretty cool learning. We've established this, what we're calling game-changing learning approach, to really help to bridge the gap between concept and action for leaders. It's going to allow you to establish the areas that are priorities for your organization and also help you determine options for moving forward in the areas that are most important to you. So if there's some areas that just aren't as relevant, or you're already very advanced in them, or you're not sophisticated enough to move forward in some of these areas, it's going to really help you to figure out and identify the areas that should be the priorities for you based on all of the learning that you're going to get. So we suggest that anyone who can influence change in their organization and also has a very strong background in category management, that there's an opportunity for you to participate in this program. The programs will start 1 month after the first educational webinar in the Master Series, which makes it about the 3rd week of February is when it's going to be up and running and available for you. And we'll build the program as the topics evolve. So when you go into the learning platform, you're going to see it changing. Every time you go in, it will be bolting on new parts to it. And you can see the topics in the white box on the screen right now and the amount of time that we'll spend in each of the different areas in the calendar. Each topic is going to require approximately 2 to 3 hours in each of the topic areas for you to do the work, but you can also get way more invested in the areas that you're really deeply interested in, because you can just spend more time in there and be engaged in the discussions for a lot longer periods of time. We're also going to be providing updates on changes to all of the different topics based on all of the feedback and the surveys that we're getting the executives to complete as part of the program. So because of the social learning aspect and because you are anonymous, the nice thing is that it's a really safe place for, as the executives and leaders, for you to ask questions, get involved, provide perspective, and learn what you need to know. Because sometimes as leaders, it's assumed that we know everything, and sometimes that's not the case. In fact, it's usually not the case. It's pretty hard to stay up to speed on all of these changing areas that are happening in category management. So this is a place that you'll be able to come and really participate at a completely different level than I think I've ever seen anything available before. The master's program is 12 months long, and it's going to include access to this social learning system that's going to be the host for everything for the program. The topics will get added in each month, and you'll receive emails from me when the materials are available. I'll be the one that will be facilitating and overseeing the entire program within the learning system. We're also going to have some ambassadors in there that are also going to help me out that are from different parts of the industry. There will be program certificates, one for each topic area. Once you have to complete the assignments and tests to get the certificate, and then one for the entire program, assuming that you complete all of the different topics and requirements. There will also be the opportunity for you to become ambassadors if you're interested in that. Many of the people that I've talked to are very interested in becoming much more vested in this, and also knowledge experts in specific areas will be flagged with badges based on completing assignments and having peers liking the work that you're contributing to. So this is something that I see as being so evolutionary that can really turn into something even bigger down the road. The cost is $1,499 US per person. Once again, we tried to make this very cost effective with group discounts available for greater than 5 people. Once again, you can purchase online to get the 30% off, or if you have a larger group, or if you want to meet with us to talk about the needs specifically for your organization, or if you have other questions, you can feel free to contact us. Something else that I just wanted to mention quickly is something that I really is rooted near and dear to my heart is the collaboration piece. We are not touting at CMKG that we are the experts in all of these different areas of category management and everything that's changed. And so collaboration is really going to be a key piece here. We foster really great relationships with our students and clients who we will be soliciting feedback from and generating breakthrough ideas going on. We want perspective. We're going to be getting perspective before and after webinars in terms of needs and priorities, and then feedback once webinars are over for ways to improve. This is an evolutionary thing that we want to make sure that we're just continuing to get better and better as the program evolves. The other important thing is that we are going to be collaborating very closely with our solution provider partners. We're going to be working closely with them to find best-in-class examples, educational materials, case studies, and exercises. Only educational stuff, not marketing materials and selling materials, but things that are going to help to develop relevant and insightful courses and content for our students. My personal opinion is that some of our solution providers have some brilliance that really can be tapped into for some really excellent educational, advanced educational materials. Solution providers are also going to be encouraged to become students so that they can also learn how to incorporate their products and services into the category management process, so that when they're talking to their manufacturer and retailer customers, that they're also considering all of the different components that have happened and all of the changes within the category management process to really help the industry move forward. So in net, the program is really going to focus on continual improvement through a collaborative effort across retailers, manufacturers, solution providers, and category management knowledge groups. So we're really excited to be able to foster this new approach for the industry. So what are the benefits to investing in this new learning program? There's a lot of different benefits that can be gained from this, you know, competitive advantage, improved collaboration, increased knowledge, shopper-focused solutions, mastering your skills to an advanced level, you know, responding to the increased retailer demands in terms of wanting and expecting manufacturers to come in with better solutions that meet a more advanced approach. So the question, I guess, to ask you is, what's stopping you from wanting to invest in this program? So in terms of next steps, we've got a few materials made available for you in the learning management, or sorry, in the go-to training. If you go into the materials section, you will first of all find a complimentary download that's an advanced category management scorecard. But the opportunity here is to help you can print this, download it and print it off, and it's going to help you to evaluate what you need to know based on what I walk you through today. There's a lot of those different considerations that are incorporated into this report card for you. You can download it and print it, and it's a great way to determine, first of all, if the training is relevant for you and if it's going to help you at this advanced level, and also if the series or the program is right for you based on how much you can influence versus based on what you need to know. Because like I said, there's two really different perspectives in the two different, the program and the series that we're offering. The other thing that we have available is the download that walks you through the 3 different programs. We also have a third program that's the master's program for the solution providers, and so if you're interested in kind of seeing what the difference are, they're getting access to the same things, but they're also becoming contributors to the educational piece if they want to as well. So make sure that you download that, and it's a printable document, and you can go through and review it in much more detail. So in terms of what's now and how to move ahead, that category management assessment that I just talked to you about in the materials section, go through and complete it, and even do it from the perspective of your team if you're a leader, to really identify where the biggest areas of interest are, and if it makes more sense for you to buy courses or the entire series, and or if you want it to be something that you know, some of your people on your team end up becoming, going into the master's program. And then decide investing in master's training, the series or the program for 2017 based on the track that's best for you, your role and your experience. And once again, if you buy before December 13th, then you will save 30%. And we do also have some very good discounts for larger groups of people going through it. So in terms of next steps, you can contact CMKG. We can work with you to determine the right plan for your team based on different needs. I'm more than happy to you know, set up a discussion time with you so that if you have questions and you want to kind of get some perspective from me in a one-on-one setting, I'm more than happy to set something up in the next coming weeks. And we've got our information available here for you to contact us. And now I am going to give the opportunity for if anybody has any questions. I've been talking for the last 41 minutes. And so if you do have any questions associated with the program or anything else, please feel free to type it into the chat box and I'll answer them. I have a question here. Does the master's training replace the CPCM or CPSA training or certification? No, it does not. Think of the master's training as being the next level of certification, but it's not a certification. It's not an official certification with the CMA yet. It does not replace it. It goes beyond that into more advanced levels. Some of the components of the new CatMan 2.0 approach we've already developed, we've already incorporated into our training. We update our training regularly, and so a lot of the concepts and ideas are already baked into our foundational, intermediate, and advanced training. So we really strongly suggest that you have at least intermediate, if not the advanced training behind your belt before you try to attain this master's program. You might just struggle with parts of it because, like I said, we're not going to be getting into details on some of the, you know, we're going to assume that you have a good, strong understanding of consumer panel data and retail point of sale data, so we're not going to be teaching you about the standard basic measures and those kind of things. Next question, how would you suggest a company start that has not been certified before? If you have not been certified before, it really depends. We can work with you. Brian, if you want to contact us, we can. If you're not sure what level of knowledge your team or organization currently has in category management, we do have an assessment they can go through because we don't want to be scaring people off. This is going to be very sophisticated and advanced training, and so it really is going to be for people who are at that level. So if you've got some people who are different levels, we can certainly provide training at foundational, intermediate, and advanced levels, and this master's program can be something that's bolted on after that. Is the training also available for non-US category managers? Absolutely, Nicholas. We have a lot of folks, when we develop our training, we try to make it relevant for global application. Probably the solution providers, well, there's actually quite a few global solution providers who are getting involved with us. And so we will be trying to use examples. We're also going to be trying to focus on different sizes of companies and different levels of sophistication of things, because smaller and mid-sized companies may have, you know, advanced category management practitioners in it, but they may not they may not be able to do it to the same level that a Procter & Gamble or a Unilever or a Walmart, as examples, may be able to take things. And so we're really going to be trying to help to address things kind of in different ranges based on the size of the company and the resources that you have available. So, like I said, I am more than happy to engage in other conversations with you. I hope you're excited about this. It is definitely something that's very different from anything that is available out there for training. Consider it to be something that you're going to be kind of leading the path forward in a lot of the different areas that are associated with advanced category management. And if you are an expert in some of the areas and want to partake in helping put together some of the framework behind the training, we'll be all over that, because, we really do want this to be a collaborative effort, and we're just kind of the agent that's kind of going to be leading the charge with this through the technologies that we have and the capabilities that we have. But we really see this as being a huge industry opportunity to get involved, to stay ahead of your competition, and get to that next level of advanced sophistication. So that is the end of the webinar, so please make sure that you get those downloads. Please reach out to us if you'd like to set up a meeting to discuss this further. If you want to go and take advantage of purchasing it in the store with a 30% off discount, the webinar series starts at the end of January. If you do purchase either of them, you will have access to our learning management system, where you'll also have access to a lot of other category management resources and materials. We have a bunch of webinar recordings in there, some very valuable educational materials in there to entertain you while you're anxiously waiting for the advanced series to start at the end of January. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback for me, I'm all ears. We've been putting this together for quite a while now. We've worked with a lot of different practitioners in the industry and some leaders and solution providers, and we really hope we're providing something that is exciting for you, and look forward to you potentially joining us on this new learning journey. So I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes if you do have any other questions that you want to ask. Andrea has asked, when will you publish the exact dates and hours for the training? We will have all of the dates and hours for the live webinars published by December 18th, I think, is the target date that we had to have everything set up. It's just a lot of work to get everything set up in the system, and we want to make sure that we're considering the right time zones and all those kind of things. But we will have all of the live webinar dates published. Let's say by before Christmas, we'll have everything published for you. And if you only want to buy single webinars versus buying the entire series, that will also be available once we have those published dates, and you'll be able to buy those for $69 in the store. So thank you very much for participating. Once again, if you have any other questions, please type them into the chat box and or reach out to us, and we're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. I hope you have an excellent day and happy learning. Take care.